The New York Latino Film Festival, to me, is a chance to see someone that looks like me, looks like my brothers and sisters, looks like my cousins, looks like my aunts and my uncles.
I want to see a leading actress be a Latina doctor or a Latino scientist. I don't have to be thug number one. My roles don't have to be roles of me breaking out of jail.
Didn't look like me, and it didn't offend me because I was so young, but it made me feel like, okay, I'm too dark for this, I don't qualify. And me as a kid, I think that's very dangerous.
Struggle. That's what inspires me. The struggle, meaning, coming from nothing. And hearing the no's, that's what inspires me every single day.
When the platform is given to us, we definitely know exactly what to do with it, and we just have to fight for a space.
It's impactful, not only for us, but I think it's impactful for those who don't look like us. It sort of helps us find each other's humanity.
I would like to see more people that look like me. All this afro going on, the pajón, like they like to call it. It's beautiful. We are beautiful. I want to see more Latinos, African Americans, fighting for what they believe in. I think that when the platform is given to us, we definitely know exactly what to do with it, and we just have to fight for a space.
What's color, Being smart is not a color. And a creative idea is a creative idea. Anyone and everyone has one. We all gotta find what's our creative passion. Being Latino and being prideful about it, especially in the film industry, in the music industry, in the entertainment world, period. We let people know that this is who we are. And it has nothing to do with our color. It's our flavor, baby.
I'm an Afro-Latina, I'm aware of my blackness. I'm also aware of my family's come up and the struggles that they had to deal with in Dominican Republic. My grandmother had to quit school so she can bring water to her family. And that was the norm. So for me to negate that history is almost insulting. For me to be an Afro-Latina in today's day and age is so important and so crucial because they didn't have a voice, and that's all they knew. And now I feel like it's a duty for me to live in their truth.
Check, 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 check. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. No, I guess you didn't hear me. Buenos días, ¿cómo están? Okay, ahora sí, ahora sí. I want to thank you all for being here today with us. I want to thank Google for being a gracious host. So on behalf of the New York Latino Film Festival, our sponsors, and Driven Society, thank you for this opportunity. I want to start today off, excuse me, it's going to be a long one. Today with our founder and president of the New York Latino Film Festival, the longest running Latino film festival in New York, Calixto Chinchilla.
I'm a bit tired myself. Thank you so much for coming. And yeah, what we wanted to do, and I wanted to explain a little bit why we showed you the different videos. You know, we really wanted this year at the festival to have the conversation of inclusion and diversity from probably the realist perspective, probably maybe in a way, maybe some of the Latino organizations never talk about it, but we wanted to reach out to different real people and some social influencers to really just tell their stories. And there's like about 6 or 7 different vignettes of all the different people that you'll see here, that you'll see throughout our campaign. And with Futuro, what we wanted to do, very much like the festival, is bring together community. I think for me personally, social media, while it's great, it's kind of left us a little bit disconnected. And so how do we create opportunity, just as we've done with filmmakers, how do we extend it to content creators? Because content creators equally want to, engage outside of, the 1-minute realm and get into film and get into other areas. And how can the festival be supportive of that? But also, how can we have conversations amongst each other? There isn't a reason why anybody in this room, by the time we're done, shouldn't know the person's name, the person that's sitting right next to you. And in this moment in time, where Latinos dominate, we dominate in social media, we dominate in the box office, Latinos dominate on mobile consumption, and we dominate on video and on demand. All that consumption, and yet we don't own anything. And that's a problem. And so how do we be able to collaborate and start building amongst each other and to create our own enterprises? Because then if we don't, we can't get upset when somebody outside the culture co-opts our culture. And so that's what we wanted to do with Futuro, is really think about the present, but we need to focus on the future. And what you'll see here is an amazing group of speakers throughout the festival, but also throughout this conference. And that's what we want to do, is really start, again, creating that dialogue. So it's my hope that you all get to know each other. It's my hope that next year you guys, one of you guys or all of you, speak here and throughout the festival. It's my hope that I see a business started as a result of this festival, just as much as I've seen deals brokered as a result of this festival. And so that's what we need to do, is we really in this moment in time, we need to have the strongest united front more than ever. And so I thank you for being a part of this. I thank Google so much. We started this last year, and we really wanted to extend, again, the opportunity beyond just film. And we work with screenwriters, we've had directors programs, but we really want to take digital to another level and really have, again, the conversation amongst us. Sometimes also when you go to some of these conferences, it's a bunch of executive and experts, but not you and me. Like, you know what I mean? There's no one that looks like me that's talking to me. And yet, again, we're also having this issue with people of color in the tech space. There's not enough of us. And so again, how do we foster that, and how we break some barriers? And I definitely want to thank, Herman Santana from Google, who I'll bring up, and he's the head of the Hola Hispanic Network over here at Google. And they've been amazing. And when they saw us do it last year, we're like, let's take this to another level. And hopefully after this year, we'll take it to somewhere else. So please join me in welcoming Herman Santana from Google.
Thanks. I'm good. Hello, good morning. That was better, it's good. So my name is Herman Santana. I am Colombian. There's no Colombians in the room? Yeah, good. Good, and as Calixto said, I am the chapter lead for the Hispanic Affinity Group, or Employee Resource Group, HOLA, here in New York. So what HOLA means is Hispanic Opportunities for Leadership and Advocacy. We are about 300 plus members, and we are the second biggest employee resource group in the entire company. And I can say on behalf of those 300 members that we're thrilled and very excited to be part of this. this celebration of Hispanic awesome talent. So we have 3 pillars in Hola. One of them is leadership, the other one is community, and then familia. So it's great to see that today I am seeing all those pillars reflected in what we're celebrating and in all of you. So leadership. It takes courage to create the type of art that all these awesome creators, producers, cast and crew members are doing. This is a type of art that inspires to follow and that inspires even more art. So all of them took a big risk, and it's paying off because they are being featured in this edition of the festival. So for that, we thank you. Now, in terms of community, as Calixto was saying, the Hispanic community is actually bigger than India, than the population of India. So if there is someone who knows how to build community, it's us. And in fact, we are so close to each other that we not only lean on each other, but we also help others, which is great. And then finally, familia. Familia is kind of the hardest one to describe because it's when you're part of the familia, it's like you got it, you have everything. And today, what I want to translate with familia is that we're celebrating as our true selves. So we're going to bring ourselves, our true selves, to this celebration, and we're going to celebrate our Latinidad and talent. And well, finally, I want to thank Carlos. I don't see him here, but Carlos is the one probably downstairs. He's probably running up and down with the registration. He was the one that made this possible. So there's a lot of effort being put in this type of events, and it all happened thanks to him. And also I want to thank Carlos for connecting us to Calixto, which, by the way, I want to just, round of applause to you for everything you do. So Calixto, thank you so much for giving Google the opportunity to help, the opportunity to be part of this event. We are humbled and honored to be part of this fantastic celebration. So thank you so much for being here and enjoy the day.
When I come in the arena.
Y'all gonna learn a little more about that right now. I'd like to bring up Natasha Martinez. She is a TV host and digital personality for Complex Networks, and she's gonna be moderating this keynote. Give a round of applause, Natasha. Match.
I'll take the yellow so it matches my outfit. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing tonight? Or tonight, today, whatever. We can blend it both. I'm sure you guys have a long day ahead of you, so by the end of the day, your day will just be a blur. But as you could see, Allen Maldonado, he is everywhere. So without further ado, he needs no introduction after those two reels. Allen Maldonado, please welcome him to the stage. I'll take this side.
That's your side?
Yeah.
All right, that's your good side. That's your good side.
You
How's
know.
everybody doing today? All right, all right. It's a little early, I guess. A little early.
All right, so getting right into it, we just saw your reel for Everybody Digital.
Yeah.
And, you've described that as the Netflix for short films.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, if you were to have a short film describe the story of your life, what would it be titled and what would the storyline be like?
What would it be titled? Confusion? Confusion and triumph, I guess. And what was the other part of it?
What would the storyline be?
What would the storyline
Let's
be?
get some synopsis.
Oh, man, this overcoming astronomical odds, being that's my life, man. I come from the projects, come from a place of no opportunity. And everybody around me seemed to have would fall into, gangbanging and drug dealing, and I, somehow found a way to become a writer and an actor out of it, I guess. So to be able to survive those, and I was hit by a drunk driver, almost died twice, and various other stories that I can go down. Really, it really tells that kind of just overcoming odds.
Absolutely, and we'll get more into your story.
Yeah.
But bonus question, what actor would you like to play you?
Oh, man, I just think, I think The Rock, he's a little, he's a little small. He's a little small.
He's a little small.
Out of shape, but I think that'll work.
He's got to get to your level. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you've talked about just overcoming, near-death experiences and, of course, adversities in your career. And I think when we talk about success, it's easy to sort of see the big picture because now we're in that big picture.
Right.
But a lot of the times the journey there is step by step, brick by brick. So can you take us to your early career and maybe share with us, was there something that you used to do every day that would help you solidify your craft, or did you sort of let things come to you?
Aside from praying very, very hard, but I guess early on, I grew up in Rialto, California. I'm pretty sure nobody
IE.
knows.
We have an IE.
We got
go
one
there.
person. Okay, let's go. Let's go. It's about an hour outside of Los Angeles. And there, I fell in love with acting in my senior year in high school. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life, but I knew I wanted to figure out a way to, help my family. I knew business was a part of it, just because I was around hustlers all my life. So I kind of learned. I learned a lot of business from drug dealers.
Always find the silver lining.
Which is, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let me explain. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because it's not really even drug dealers no more, because weed is about to be legal in like all these weed shops. Like I need to stop saying that.
Take away that stigma.
Just yeah. They was before their time. Damn it. So I learned business from these individuals with these weed shops. But it was in Rialto that I fell in love with acting, and I said, you know what, this is something that I think that I'm naturally gifted at. I was a basketball player. As you see, I know I'm ball player size, but basketball wasn't my destiny. It wasn't really for me to go to the NBA, that is. But so acting became like, okay, this is my thing. And I started to venture off to Los Angeles, and Rialto, again, is an hour away, so I would have to take 2 trains.
Oh, wow. I know that
The
commute.
Metrolink and the Red Line, she know what I'm talking about, and ride a bike just to get to acting class. This is before any jobs. And I was working 2 jobs in college. And I remember pushing myself to the point where I got sick. I remember that I was working at Burleson Coat Factory Monday through Friday, and then Denny's. I worked at Denny's graveyard shift Fridays through Mondays, and I went to college in between all of that. And I was at Denny's one graveyard shit, and I was like shaking. And my manager's like, yo, you need to go home. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Laying in the booth, like, no, I'm fine. I got it. I'm just resting. Like, yeah, you're like, yo, go home. Go home. So I remember one day, it wasn't that day, it was another day. I was on my break, and I literally went to my car. I had a Kia Sophia. You know what I'm saying? 97, it was my jam. And I sat in the back of the trunk and on the windshield, and I just started praying. I was like, look, God, I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm doing everything in my power, to the point where I'm, getting sick. I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm going to school, I'm going to acting classes, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. 2 weeks later, I booked Young and the Restless. And
let's hear some claps for that.
Immediately quit my job.
Peace out, Denny's.
I literally was like, went in for the audition, and I had to work that night. And I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm not coming back. I'm making sure I ain't coming back. And I didn't. I didn't. But that was, as far as the early stage, that was my first big break. Which goes into, I mentioned the story I mentioned earlier, is that, like, I thought, you got your Young and the Rest of you, which is like the acting Olympics. That's another story as well. But I was like, oh, I made it. I get my money. I quit my job. I'm like, oh, it's on. It's going down. And 7 months into me doing the Young and the Restless, I was hit by a drunk driver. I was hit by a drunk driver walking. He was going 65 miles per hour in a BMW Roadster. Flew in the air, landed on my face. My right leg was broke. My spine was curved. It was crazy. It was crazy. But to kind of fast forward to that, when the last stitch fell out of my mouth, my testimony to God is that I booked 3 TV shows in 1 week. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of faith, a lot of faith, a lot of determination, and I always say that this game is a marathon. Being that I've been in this business for some time now, and it's success comes to those that never quit. You have to meet up with your blessings, and how fast you meet up with them is according to your work ethic. Like that pew right there is going to stay there as long as I stay here. But if I step closer, it comes closer to me. So with that being said, when you have these near-death experiences, you see life in a different way. Like it's the grass is greener, the sky is bluer, like all that's real. like that's totally real. So, but what I've taken from that is that, tomorrow isn't promised. And with that, I want to meet as many blessings as I can. So I work diligently every day to, put my effort towards making that blessing come closer to me. So, yeah.
Amazing testimony.
Thank you.
Now, I don't think the average person has the work ethic that you do and that drive. So especially with your background. So that being said, I'm sure your family and your upbringing had a lot to do with your diligence and your perseverance. So can we get into sort of your background? You're half Black, half Puerto Rican. Yeah. What was it like growing up for you in terms of culture?
Oh, man. Well, I guess where the drive and everything comes from, I always put that on Harlem. Harlem. Even though I'm from Rialto, California, my father's from Harlem. And Wagner Projects, anybody know what that is? Yeah, all right. Y'all want to expose yourself. Okay.
We got one whoop.
Don't expose yourself. It's cool. But yeah, Wagner Projects, I would come out here pretty much every other summer. And be a part of the culture. And I was my father's Puerto Rican, so all of my crazy Puerto Rican cousins out here, we used to run around in these streets, Harlem, doing God knows. I just was telling the story the other day. Anybody that's all the OGs out here know about Latin Quarters. Latin Quarters, you know about LQs, you know about it. Yeah, I remember getting my fake ID, Times Square. I was 15. I was at LQs, and I was so nervous because I was in there with an illegal ID. And my crazy cousin was like, yeah, since you in New York, like they gonna try to test you, so put a knife in your boot. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm already illegal already. I'm not even supposed to be there. Now I got a weapon. So I'm literally in the club with a knife.
Advice.
Great family advice. Great family advice. But but as far as just hustling and just a different speed, you know, being in California, it's a little slower. It's definitely it's a lot slower than New York, and being able to have both of that, you know, getting that energy where I would come out here and I would see a dude literally like selling something out of a hole in the wall. Like literally, it was a hole in the wall, and dude was selling like socks and belts out of the joint. Like that's what I saw. So when I went back to California, that inspired me to work at another level. And again, I was around a lot of weed dispensers in the early 90s.
You gotta learn somehow.
That educated me.
Right?
That educated me about hustling and working hard. Yeah.
Now you mentioned that your dad was Puerto Rican, but I've also read that your family is full of women. Is that 10, right? 10 women, 3 generations to be exact?
Yeah. It's a lot. I was the only boy in my family, only man in my family, literally. My father passed when I was young, so it was me, my mother, my 2 sisters, and then they decided to have 5 women as well.
They decided.
They decided. Finally, I had my one nephew, but it was me, man. It was interesting being the most consistent male in 3 generations of women's lives. You know, my mother's father wasn't there. My sister's fathers wasn't there. My nieces, they weren't there. So I literally have taken on all of these different roles in from father. You know, sometimes I got to be a father to my mother. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Same to my sisters, brothers, uncles, you know, all of these things through, you know, again, 3 generations. Like the way I deal with my mother is totally different than the way I deal with my sisters and the way I deal with, you know, my nieces, just because of their point of view in life, you know, just because.
So different.
Yeah, so different. So that is another reason I work extremely hard. As 50 would say, get the strap. Because it's a lot of women, and I have to, you know, I'm always in protector mode and being able to take care of them and help them fulfill their dreams.
But I'm curious, what was having so many women in your life? How did that affect your art? Did they influence you in any way? You know, being surrounded by strong Black women and strong Latinas? Of course.
Never to date. No, I'm just kidding. But no.
My family has also taught me that.
But no. I learned. I mean, to be totally honest, like my mother taught me how to be a man. Like everything that I am is from these women in my life. And like to get even deeper. Like to get even deeper is a sense of like growing up. I only saw women handle business.
All right, ladies.
Is that like I only saw women handle business? Like it was very interesting for me to see a man handle business. I was like, can he do that? like I don't know if I trust that. Let me have you do that. No, seriously. As a psychological, as a kid, when that's all you see, a person handling business, you kind of, you know, you get I guess what is that? Again, not suspicious, but you just get a little leery when you're like, can he? So that was definitely something that I had to, you know, look at myself and kind of be like, oh no, I can't handle business. And you know, at the age of 13 is really when I began to like really like, this is my family and I'm the man now, which often had a lot of fights to do that. I had to fight to be the man of the family.
It's tough. All that.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I learned. They ain't gonna give you nothing. You gotta earn it. So
no, but that's great because all of this background, you know, your struggle in your early career and being surrounded by strong women who have taught you so much about business and, you know, playing different characters of all the roles that you've played. I would say you're very culturally well-rounded.
Appreciate it.
And so I read a quote from you that I thought was so interesting and I identified with. You said that oftentimes in casting, you would be told you're not Black enough and you're not Latin enough. And I've always thought, well, how can somebody not be enough? Because it's literally your DNA.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so do you feel like you have overcome that at this point in your career, or do you still see the struggle for studios to be confident in sharing and creating these authentic blended stories?
I guess the answer to that, I feel I've become more than that. I've become more than my ethnicity.
Which is amazing. That's the goal.
That's the goal. Being that they can never take that away from me. Nobody in the room. Like even like I said, growing up, like even in certain spaces, I wasn't Latin enough because I didn't speak Spanish. But people didn't even consider it. I'm like, well, my last name is Maldonado, but okay, all right, never mind. Like I guess I lead with that. My hashtag is Maldonado's everywhere. But so a lot of time where I became successful to myself, being my inner strength, was that I'm big. I became bigger than that, being that I am who I am. Nobody can take that away from me. And when I play characters, whether they're written for Black, white, Hispanic, anybody, it's about a human. It's about a human being. And if I can showcase that, everything else will fall in line. With all the characters that I play, they're human first, and then you begin to see. Because again, when I'm in front of that screen, they can't take away that I'm Black and Latin. I don't care what character who it was written for. When people see me, that's what they're going to see. When kids, Afro-Latinos in every community are looking for someone to see in that position, they're going to see me. So it became bigger than just trying to represent that, because that's a given. I can already do that. So it became about me being a human and building a brand that established me as that, so.
Absolutely. And do you take that mentality into the writer's room? Your career has spanned beyond being an actor. You're a writer for many shows.
Yeah.
Do you feel a responsibility to portray both of your cultures beyond just race?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. As a visual, I'm a visual learner. Being that a lot of the stuff that I do and understand is because of what I saw. And I always tell a story. He probably hates every time I tell it, because I've told it anyway 1,000 times, but I don't give a damn. But a good friend of mine, and like a family, big brother, mentor, is Kenya Barris. He created Blackish, and he just got a deal for $100 million through Netflix. Yeah. And he's like I said, he's a really good friend of mine. But literally, I wrote a short, and I gave it to him, and he was like really on my head, like, you really need to take your writing serious. I'm like, well, no, I'm an actor. This is what I do. I'm focusing on that. And then during that same time, he had an idea. He was like, I had an idea for him. I'm thinking about doing this show about my family. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. Later, maybe a couple months later, he was like, yeah, we got the script together. We out running around with it. We got Anthony Anderson, Lawrence Fishburne attached. We pitched. Oh, okay, all right. A couple months later, and he's like, yeah, all the networks want it. So you think, who should I go with? Should I go with ABC, FX? I'm like, go with ABC. All right, cool. He was like, what you talking about? So basically, I saw his life change in 8 months. Blackest hit, and it was crazy. Now I'm walking through Disney. He's got a big, compound with 50 employees, and we get to his office, and we like two little girls screaming like, oh. And he's like, yo, I'm stressed out, man. Because he just was dealing with the excitement and also the pressure of like, this is really happening, when 8 months ago, it was just an idea. And I was taught, my writing mentor is actually Michael Caine, who wrote All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise, Southern Comfort, a bunch of stuff in like the 70s and 80s. He's in his 80s now, but he was a 60-year-old white man at that time. And he taught me how to write. And as crazy as it sounds, I never saw myself in that position, even when working with him for years. And him teaching me how to do something, I never saw myself in his position. It wasn't until Kenya came into my life where I was like, wow, he looks like me, sound like he's from Inglewood. And if people really look at Kenya, you guys would notice, if you may or may not notice, he's tatted up from like from knuckle to neck. So again, seeing somebody that I can relate to and understand is a part of why I do everything that I do. So I inject that definitely in my writing. And even with my businesses and all these different things, I want to be able to showcase that, people and individuals that, that can relate to me can succeed.
I mean, that just segued perfectly into my next question. Because now we're talking about representation and obviously how it matters. You know, you saw Kenya, and he inspired you to get into something you never thought possible. Yeah. Do you remember when you were a young lad?
Yeah.
The first actor that you ever saw that you identified with? Did it spark?
Oh, that's Will Smith.
Will Smith.
That's Will Smith. Will Smith, hands down. I know this is probably going to sound crazy, but all through high school, I never read an entire book.
Wow.
All through, I just figured out things.
Cliff Notes?
Cliff Notes and all this.
Notes?
I never read any of those books. I never read the entire. And I think it was my senior year, and I got into acting, and it was the Will Smith biography. I read that thing from front to back. I read that thing from front to back. So he was the actor that inspired me to get into this business.
Mm-hmm. So why do you personally feel like representation is important, not only just on screen, but in the writer's room, in the director's chair, in the business meetings?
Yeah, I just think it's in the community, period. Again, I grew up around some weed dispenser owners, and a lot of times people in these particular areas feel like they have no other option. And that was the conversations I remember very, very, very clearly from a lot of the individuals around that time, was that they felt that this was their only option. And it's very difficult for a child in that neighborhood to listen to your parents when they're struggling and they're going to work 9 to 5, and they say, do it this way, but we struggling. Do it this way.
Really working?
This is the right way. But the dude up the block is riding around, got money, got all the car. It's a tough thing to understand. And for me, I have my kids' foundation, and I'm very active in being in the community and foster kids and average youth in Watts, California, and different things like that. Is that I dress the way I dress. I pull up. I got an '86 Camaro. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the dope boys that I grew up around. But I want to be able to showcase that you can do all these things. You can look this certain type of way, and you can have tattoos and all these different things and still be successful in a positive way. Don't take these visual images that the media has painted us and say, oh, that's not the way to look. No, you can look let's change the narrative. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. And I'm talking about changing the narrative of what and how we're seen. Not about following what you say, you tell me to look. You tell me how to dress. You tell me how to speak. No. Because a lot of those people in the community, yes, like I said, I grew around some weed dispenser owners.
Fourth time you brought it up.
Yeah, weed dispenser owner. But they were good people. They were great individuals. They the ones that kept me out of the streets. They the ones kept me from gang banging. I always kind of fight for that, because that goes all the way into visual representation. We can't forget about these people in these communities, and say that's the wrong way. It's just, you can't be, if you don't know, you can't do better if you don't know. So a lot of times it's just a lack of opportunity, a lack of education, and lack of visual representation. Where again, I relate to Kenya so much because he's from Inglewood. His brothers is in the street, all of this stuff. That was for me, and it was I could be a writer and be that way. If you saw, y'all don't think the subliminal stuff that I catch. He was on the cover of Variety. Everybody had suits on. He was in a hoodie and jeans.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? He was in a hoodie and jeans. That was big for me. That was big for me because that's how I dress. That's who I am. That's how I walk around. I don't have to put on, because I'm scared for people to think that I'm a certain way. So with everything that I do, I'm very conscious of that.
What do you say to people who maybe are afraid to be themselves, represent themselves when they do see the same things being represented in media? How do you give them that sort of nugget of confidence?
I'll say this, especially as a writer, you know, that's your asset. That's your asset. Being who you are, your opinion, your POV, your perspective is your asset. And a lot of times, especially now, these a lot of shows are searching for that because they need diversity. They need your opinion. They need your way of life. Like, you know, me writing on The Last OG, you know, the things that I've been through in the streets, that's an asset. You know, it's people in the room, even that are Black and Latino, that aren't from that area, that don't have that opinion. It doesn't, you know, it's just your asset. Being yourself, it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is your asset. And if you stay true to that, then you actually put worth on yourself rather than trying to fulfill somebody else's need that you're guessing. You're guessing at that point. And then you're going to fall short because that's not what you know thoroughly. You know yourself, and you know the things that you've been through thoroughly. So you have to be fearless. You know, I got my boy Brett in here. He's one of the writer assistants in The Last OG. He know I come in the writer's room with a hoodie. I had bandanas on. Like I'm a nut. I'm crazy. But that's me. That's me. I'm not never afraid to showcase that nor express that, even in pitching stories. That's your worth and that's your asset.
Absolutely, all words to live by for sure. So let's move on to your app, Everybody Digital.
Yeah.
It's been a year since you've launched.
Yeah. Can you get a round of applause? Round of applause?
Yeah.
Round of applause, yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, well, here's a two-part question. What was your initial vision for the app? And then secondly, what have you learned within this year?
Okay. The initial vision is what it is, man. I'm happy to say that. Happy that we executed that. It all started, as many of you guys may be short filmmakers. And you guys know short filmmaker back there. So you know that there's a small window. Your film festival run is from 12 to 15 months. And I had a film that did incredibly well, the one I showed Kenya, and it won countless awards, got into several film festivals. It was on a high. Like it was rocking, it was rolling. And then after that 12, 15 month, it just kind of fell off a cliff. There wasn't really any further distribution or further exposure, and also just expanding over to the average consumer that goes to movie theaters and also enjoys television on a weekly basis. You know, I wanted to expand. I wanted those eyes to get it, and it wasn't no opportunities for me. And there's other companies that do short films, but it's like at the bottom, the last list. Like literally, there's every other category. There's, you know, the dog feature. There's, you know, cooking shows, short film. Like it's at the bottom. And I wanted to create a platform and an arena that really, you know, focuses on, and not just focuses, but elevates the genre to another level. Being that it's the one genre that I feel in entertainment that hasn't evolved over the years. Feature films, commercials, even social media is $1 billion business now. Where in short films, we all know if you make a short film, that's like throwing a stack of money in the fireplace. You ain't getting that back. You ain't getting that back. So I want to create a way to elevate the genre to another level and create a platform similar to Netflix that will be, you know, licensing all of the short films on there, also creating original short films as well. And we've done that. And this year we've just like with any business, it's brick by brick. I don't expect anything to be overnight. My career as an actor wasn't that. My career as a writer wasn't that. So even in my platform, I can't expect the same thing either. But even though we've had some great success, we have some great films that we are producing on the original side. We have one with Deion Cole, Miles Brown. Well, basically everybody from Blackish, I got them to do a short film. Survivor's Remorse, we got one with Jesse T. Usher. From there, we just did a short with Tracy Morgan. So I'm really trying to bring a lot of the A-listers that I know into this world. And again, just to elevate and put the spotlight on short films, which will bring more attention to the incredible short filmmakers that are out there, that I feel, again, that's not appreciated. Because it takes a special skill to make a great film in 10 to 12 minutes. You got 2 hours. You could tell any story in 2 hours.
Yeah, and some people can't even
They can't even do that. But to do it in 10 minutes, like in 5, like that's talent. That's an incredible, skill that I feel, again, is overlooked. So with Everybody Digital, we're trying to make, well, basically, the goal is to make stars within our app. To make stars out of the directors, to make stars out of the writers, to make stars out of the actors, to make stars out of the concepts that we create within the app for the short film genre. That is the goal, and I've using my celebrity and all of my celebrity connects to bring a spotlight on short films, and that's pretty much the heart of what Everybody Digital is, and we're in a great position to do that. Again, we're a year in, which is incredible, and being in the tech space is all new for me, but it's been great.
Yeah, because you didn't have any experience before.
No.
So what was that like, going into a completely new venture?
I'm insane.
What were the biggest challenges?
I'm just insane. Like, literally, I'm just insane. Like, again, I don't know. I can't explain it other than I almost died twice. Like, being there, I'm just totally fearless. I'm totally fearless. Like, the idea came, I was walking my friend home, and we were talking, and I don't know what she said in the conversation, and I literally was like, I'm not gonna make a short film streaming app. And she was like, what? She was like, what are you talking about? And I literally forgot that I was walking her home and walked back home. Was like, I'm gonna figure this out. Like, she called me later, like in 10 minutes. She's like, I know I made it home, right? I said, what you talking about? She's like, you were walking me. Oh, like I don't know what she said, but I literally was like, I'm gonna do this, and didn't know how. I just made some phone calls. Research and did some things, took some meetings, took some app developers, and let's get the ball rolling. And the unique space that I'm in, being that I'm not in the tech space, is that I ask for shit that don't exist. That usually, like, no, for real, like the techies are like, well, we can only do this, and I'm like, figure this shit out. Like, what? I'm like, just figure this shit out. Let me know. I'll call you tomorrow. So that's what I mean. I'm insane that because I don't know the limitations, I push them further. So it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been expensive, but it's been fun. It's been fun.
So you're talking about, you get this like divine idea. And you also sort of mentioned this with Kenya as well. He had this idea that he wanted to write a show. So can you give us like a realistic breakdown of when you get that idea, what is the first thing that you do? Because I feel like usually it's like, I just had this idea and then I just did it. But like we all know it's not that easy. Yeah. So what are some like tangible resources that maybe you can give our audience if they have any ideas to develop their own apps or, within the film space as well?
Okay. First thing I got to point out that, what is that? What's the way to phrase it? Obsession? What is that?
OCD?
Not OCD.
Oh.
When you're just, when you just dedicated to something ridiculously. Not passionate. No, it's further. Step further than passion. Obsessed. Yes. What is that? Obsessed. Yeah. Obsessed. Well, basically anything that I do, like a lot of stuff.
Obsess over it.
Like if I like chips, I'm all over it. Like that's anything that I like, with everything. So I point that out first. Okay. So when it comes to like
that's a part of your personality.
Yeah, it's part of my personality. So whenever I like something, I would do everything. I'm obsessed with it. I'm thinking about it all day. Like, okay, let's figure it out. But the first step is when I get an idea, I'm literally like, okay, do I love it? Do I love it? Do I love it? Again, am I willing to obsess about it? Am I willing to sacrifice for it? That's usually the questions that come. And then from there, I'm just, I'm a research guy. I will Google. There it is. Plug. Google is your best friend. Google is your best friend, being that you can find anything that you want to know. Like YouTube, you can find everything from painting your car to making a bomb. Like, it's crazy on there. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you can find anything. It's crazy on there. Like, you can find anything. So for those that have an idea that don't, know how to execute it, that has a large part in their lack of effort. I talk to my teenagers all the time. Like, yeah, I want to but you can find where the party at on Saturday. They ain't put no location up,
Wow.
but you know where it's at. But you can't find out where to get this college application from, where you just got to go to the damn website and get it down. Okay, all right. So a lot of it is a lack of effort. So once you put in that effort to just really do research and then being thorough with the people that you want to hire, people that you want to work with, there was a time when I didn't have no money, so that made your effort has to be more than your art. You got to be more artistic, when you have less money, that's usually what I do. I'm information. And I'm a creature of habit. Like, I'm a routine person. I'm always training my mind. Everything around my house is something to spark or ignite a certain emotion or feeling. Everything in my house. Like, everywhere I turn, there's something that subconsciously ignites something in my mind to achieve whatever goal that I'm trying to achieve at the moment. Everything in my house. Like, everything is on purpose. Like, if you don't train your mind, the world will train it for you. So it is, you have the power to choose whatever you want to do. Like, you have the power to choose whatever you want your mind to do. Like, how I like to see things is that you are your most dominant thought. So if you think about playing video games all day, you're a gamer. If you think about cooking all day, you're a chef. If you think about dancing all day, you're a dancer. Now, if you're making a living from that, that's another question. But that's who you are. That's who you are. So you have the power to make a decision like, okay, you know what? I am thinking about video games all day, but you know what? I am a chef. Let me make that decision. Now, let me start putting different things around my house to continue consistently put those images in my head. Let me put some pots. Let me go buy a new apron or whatever. Let me put all of these different things. Let me put some chefs, the famous chefs around everything. Then subconsciously, you will begin to achieve your goals, because that's where the level that you want to be at, where you're subconsciously achieving goals. That's where you want to be like, okay, there's a victory. Like, there's a win. Like, you just stumbled on a win. And that's when the law of attraction comes into play, when you speak things into existence come into play, all of those things that you hear come into play, because subconsciously your mind is attracting and going in that direction. How many times have we done, we have this routine where, let's just say we wake up every morning, we put the alarm off, and then we go straight to the bathroom. If you do that consistently, next thing you know, even on your day off, you like going in like because you subconsciously built your body and your mind to do something. And it's the same thing with anything you choose to do. So that'd be my biggest advice.
Wow, you just took vision board to like a whole new level.
Yeah,
it's like Vision House.
There it is.
That's amazing.
Vision House.
I'm going to try that.
Vision House. It's serious. It's serious.
All right, well, I want to save time for any questions that the audience may have. But my last question for you would be, what do you see for the future of the digital space?
I see it's definitely the future. It's wow. I think it's going to replace a lot of I guess what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be basically the foundation of everything that we do. Going to be the foundation of everything that we do. which is kind of scary. But
There's
think
definitely
that's
opportunity in that, right?
No, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is scary because we're not as heavily involved as we should be. Like we're again, as a lot of times in minorities, we're we're in the race late, and that's what's scary. Being that's going to be the foundation, and there's not enough people of color in tech. There's not enough people in just coding. Period. Like these different things that are going to pretty much power the world. We're not involved with, and that's what needs to change epically. Just because it's going to be the foundation of it. It's crazy, but it's going to be a whole new world. It's going to be a whole new world, is the way I see it.
How would you encourage minorities to feel confident in entering the digital space?
We're already doing it. In a sense of not in the technical way of doing it, but we impact the world so much. We influence the world so much that other than the technical side of learning how to create an app or learning how to do something, our culture is injected in everything. So we're already a part of it. We're just not in a position of power to control it. So it's the fear of that we have to erase. The fear of saying that, we're not involved. No, we are involved. We are involved. Now we need to be involved more in detail. Now we got to be more in depth with our involvement, because we're already involved. We're already a part of the game. We're already a part of the tech space, because as he mentioned earlier, Latinos consume the most mobile. So we are involved. We're powering this thing. So it's not about doing it. It's about doing more for it.
Everybody get your vision houses ready. I expect to see all of us involved. All right, so we'll leave a few minutes for any questions that the audience may have. Yes. Oh, hi. Oh, there's a mic back there.
They got a spotlight on it and everything.
But I
guess you
mean,
gotta.
But
out. That's a little walk, ain't it? Like,
or I can walk around. I don't care. I'll walk around. I can show off this jumpsuit.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Show that jumper. That's right.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to start by saying you're super inspirational.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Congrats on a year and having an app, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So my name's Crystal. I have made a digital series that's going to be featured. And my question is, are you going to maybe evolve from shorts to web series?
Oh, we already have.
Okay.
Yeah, we already have. We have a couple of original series on there.
It's both. So
yeah,
that was just my question.
Yes. We definitely.
I'm trying to get more people that are Latinas to start doing series.
Yes. We love, like we got about, I think maybe like 10 or 12.
Okay.
10 or 12 now that we're pumping out. We're actually producing an original web series as well. We call them Digi-series. I've trademarked the name. We call them Digi-series. That's how we like to refer to them as well. But we have them. Definitely.
Okay. That was it.
Yeah.
We have an extra mic now, so that'll be going around.
Give it up for the jumper. Give it up for the jumper, everybody.
Thank you.
That's right.
This is on, is it? All right.
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Good afternoon. Wow. All I can say is wow. I didn't know what to expect. And you're amazing, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Every right. As a man, I could say that. Wow, you're an inspiration to a lot of us here, people of color.
Thank you.
Actors, performers. My name's Kareem Savignon. I'm an actor as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this since I was fairly young, 12 to be exact. And then, it's a constant challenge. And I've always saw myself doing more than just acting. And to this day, I'm trying to dwell into it little by little. And hearing you speak about writing, which is something that I want to pursue, or which I'm trying to pursue, and taking the steps for it. Of course, it's a little harder when you don't really have those sort of connections, but you do with the acting. So then when you try to convey that, message, like, I'm not only an actor, I'm also a writer. Mm-hmm. There's some people that have these notions like, yeah, sure, kid. So now my question to you is, like, trying to juggle both and being great at both. how do you consistently do that? And when you first got started, like I know you have people like Kenya and the gentleman that you mentioned before, but like for someone like me, like who doesn't have a Kenya or the gentleman that you mentioned, how would I go about creating something? And then if I don't have representation to pitch it, how would you recommend for me to try to get that up off the ground? Should I do it myself or should I seek?
Okay. All right. There's several questions in there. I guess first, as far as being able to juggle everything, I always hated hearing that you only could do one thing and all you could do that. Like I got ADHD. Like I work better when I have 80 things cooking at the same time. Like it's just a certain level of focus that brings. And when most people say that is usually because that's how they believe in themselves. That's the way they believe themselves. So that's first part. I wouldn't listen to that. Being able to juggle everything is just like with anything. We're very diverse, multifaceted individuals, being that some days we like pizza, some days we like hamburger, some days we like, that don't mean I love them any less. This is what I feel like doing today. This is what I'm doing today. So same thing like acting. And today I feel like acting is great today. I feel like writing today. I feel like doing music today. Like you could do all these things, but it takes a certain level of dedication and sacrifice to be great at a lot of things. Like, with all that being said, my personal life takes a hit, because I'm doing all of these other things. So it's sacrifice. If you want to be great and being able to juggle these things, there's sacrifice in other areas. That'd be the first thing. As far as being connected and being around these individuals, one, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you start training your mind subconsciously to achieve a certain type of goal, you'll run into these people. Like I was a kid from the projects. I was 17 years old. When Michael Caine came up to me talking about I could be a writer, I said, get the fuck out of here. I was like, yo, I don't even like English. That's really what I told him. Like he was like, what are you talking about? I don't even like English, man. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, nah, that's something. He was like, no. That's different, Allen. That's different. I wasn't as polished then. I forgot the exact way I said it, but it wasn't gentle. But it was a thing of, he's like, that's what I'm talking about is, what you're talking about is structure. What I'm talking about is creativity. And you have that. And, it was a good decision to make that decision. So if you begin to learn and do your research, and you'll find yourself when you're being around these people that are going to be able to help you. It's one of those things that birds of a feather flock together. You're around 9 millionaires. You're bound to be the 10th. You begin, again, going towards a blessing, you'll meet up with it. I guess another tidbit that I always like to say is that, as artists, we tend to think as artists, which is a very heartbreaking perspective, being that we will jump on our artistic sword, we would jump on our artistic grenade even though we don't need to. You have to, as an artist, you have to be business-minded. Like I always say, with anything, with acting, writing, or anything that you do, you have to treat, it's not a career. It's crazy to say, it's more of a small business. The more you start in small. When you have a career, usually you get a check week 2, 30 after your 30 days or whatever. When you start a small business, you're putting in money for 3-5 years. You have to, when you work for somebody, you work from 9 to 5 and you go home. You can leave it. Small business, you working Monday through Friday, the weekends, to 24 hours out of the day, you're working. And that's what it is to be an artist and as an actor. And also, you have to build your brand. Like, I know a lot of artists, like, I want to do everything. Like, that's fine. But if you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to make a money, if you're trying to make a living, it has to fit in a certain area. Being that I was sponsored by Coca-Cola for a while, and they taught me a lot. Being that soft drinks, I consider soft drinks like actors. There's 1,000 soft drinks, right? And everybody enjoys different flavors. Same thing with 1,000 actors. Everybody enjoys different flavors. Coca-Cola, you think Coca-Cola, red, white, American Pie, white polar bears, all of that. You think of Pepsi, new generation, it's blue. Mountain Dew, bright green, yellow, extreme fucking sports. They jumping off of shit. You know what I'm saying? So they're all actors. They're all actors, but they cater to different demographics. And inside of that, Mountain Dew has 70 fucking flavors. You know what I'm saying? Coca-Cola has their different flavor. Pepsi has it. So as an actor or as a writer, you have to pick the brand that you want, the audience that you want to reach. Because a lot of times where artists get frustrated because they throwing shit against the wall and hoping it sticks. When it's like they spend all their efforts over here and like your target is over there because you haven't decided what your target was. You know, because you're like, I could do it all. Well, Mountain Dew could do it all too. They could do purple, red, green, but they still have an audience that they're trying to attract. So when you approach things like that, it makes things a little less frustrating because you like, I know I'm supposed to be hitting that. I may not have hit it yet, but I know I'm going for the right target. And I know if I keep practicing, I'll finally hit it. So, and all those things will fall into place. Like, again, I came from the projects. I didn't know nothing about no entertainer, no nothing. And it wasn't because I knew these people. It was because I wanted something. I was obsessed about it, and they came to me. You know? So that best of luck with everything, brother. Best of luck. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Anybody else? Don't be shy. There you go. Trendsetter.
Oh,
there
thanks.
There it
I
is.
just, you know, it's Latin brand, you know.
I love it.
Support. Thank you so much again. That's great. I'm Wes, by the way.
How you doing?
I have a short film here. And,
Dope.
So happy to be here from LA as well.
Hey.
Originally from Miami though, so any
okay.
Cubans out there.
Wow.
Cubanos.
I wouldn't be successful if I lived in Miami. I wouldn't get shit done. Shit done. I wouldn't be up here if I lived in Miami. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I don't live there anymore. So I have two questions. One, do you have like a creative like morning routine? And then two, how do you fight that creative voice that sometimes tells you, hell yeah, you can do it, and then other days it's like, no, your shit sucks.
Right. We all get like that. I guess what's my routine? Hey, I mean, I'm always challenging myself. Like right now, I'm training for the New York Marathon. So don't know why I did that. Don't know why I chose to do that shit. But it's been crazy getting up and having to run my miles and all these different things. It's nothing really specific, but it's more about what I do before I go to bed than when I wake up. I remember as a kid, I ran into my first millionaire, and I was in a conference, something like this. It was a group of people, and I don't know how we fell into the conversation, but I was like, so I asked him questions like, what's the difference between you and them? He was like, oh, that's a real good question. I think I was 16 or something. He was like, look around the room. And I said, oh, okay. I don't. He was in like some Dockers, he's $38 outfit. He was in a $38 outfit, including shoes. Like it was, wouldn't think he had money at all. And I didn't notice anything. He's like, look again. I was like, I didn't notice anything again. And he said, look, this was in the 90s. This was in the 90s. I remember he had a weekly planner in his hand. He said he was the only one in the room that had a weekly planner in his hand. He said, the difference between me is that I have a plan and they don't. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I know what I'm doing the day after tomorrow. I know what I'm doing after that. So for me, before I go to bed, I try my best to get a plan of what I'm going to do the next day. Like, how am I going to plan it out? So I'm not waking up at 9 o'clock already in battle and not having a game plan, and then being able to be distracted by whatever happens during that day, because that happens. You get a phone call, something happens, and all of a sudden what you planned on doing happens next week because you didn't have a plan to do it. So, what was the other question? What was the other one?
It was just like how to.
How to
battle your
juices. Like, you know what? That's the good thing about being able to some days I'm like, yo, I don't feel like acting. I feel like writing. Some days I'm able to get out that creative juice in a certain way, in a certain capacity. But for me, everything, revolves around acting. That's the sun. So ultimately, whatever I do is in growth of that. But I have different, just like eating the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. You're like, put some new spice on this. Or let me try something extra with it. Like, it happens. That's just it's just in our, it's just a natural thing that we go through. So try to find other ways or other things outside of what you do that are still connected. And then you'll find yourself back in that place inspired.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? All right,
okay.
There we go. He right here.
Hi, my name is Ingrid. I'm an aspiring filmmaker / dabbling into the social media realm.
Yeah, go ahead.
And my question really was, have you ever, throughout your career, experienced times where you know what you want to do, and because I'm a lot like you, I have my planner, I like planning out.
I see it. Y'all see it right there? Go ahead.
You're a very note taker.
Yeah.
But what do you do when you've kind of hit that rut where you're like, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow, I know the steps I'm going to take for the next few weeks, but in the far future, like maybe a year, 2-3 years from now, I don't know really where I'm going.
Okay. This is another thing that the way I see things. Perspective is everything for me to kind of answer your question. And overall, like, time doesn't exist to me. That sounds crazy. I know I just jumped off the ledge real quick. But time doesn't exist to me. Meaning that time is to be identified, not measured. Like 2 o'clock. What the fuck is 2 o'clock? What the fuck is 2 years? Like, if you didn't know how old you were, how old would you be? So it's to be identified, not measured. But a lot of times we use, society puts pressures on you. Like, are you supposed to do this in this amount of time? Supposed to do this in this or that time? And like the marathon is part of that too. Like is it a race? No, for me it's a goal. It's a goal. I don't care what time I get it done, as long as I get it done. That the time doesn't really matter, And I found myself like, I want to get faster at it. I'm like, what? I just want to get it done. I just want to get it done. And a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves that doesn't even exist. So as far as being able to accomplish goals in a certain period of time, now there's deadlines. There's deadline. Your light bill is due on the 3rd. You better pay that shit. Shit, I'm not. You can't go to them. Like, well, you know what time don't exist. I'll pay that motherfucker when I pay it. Like, no. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. But just in life, like, that's how I tend to, achieve goals. Some goals take longer than others. Some things take longer to cook. Don't ever put your pressure on yourself. As long as you're walking towards your goal, you're walking towards your blessing, that's all that matters. The day that you stop is the problem. As far as getting something in the time that you would like it is just, you can't control that. Can't control that. As long as you're working hard for it, you keep working hard for it and keep focused on your direction, you'll achieve it. You'll achieve your goal. If I take 2 days to get through this damn marathon, I'm gonna get through it, So yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Doesn't look like it. I know you have to get to set.
What time?
OG.
Yeah. I gotta get.
So we won't keep you for long, but
No
thank
problem.
you so much for speaking to all of us. I feel like I just went to church.
Oh,
I have so much knowledge. So thank you, Allen Maldonado. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the festival.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So we just walk off awkwardly.
now.
We just walk off the stage awkwardly. All right.
All right. Oh, I should leave this. All right. Goodbye.